So you want to fight financial crime? Well, you've come to the right place. Your journey to becoming a certified anti-money laundering specialist starts right now. We're going to break down exactly what it takes, and we'll be using the CAMS Exam Prep Study Guide by Austin Alvarez as our roadmap.
Let's just jump right in with a question, because it really gets to the heart of the matter. Could you really spot a financial criminal? I mean, we're not talking about petty thieves here. These are sophisticated pros who are absolute masters at hiding in plain sight.
And believe me, the stakes are massive. This isn't some victimless, white-collar crime. The money they're laundering, it fuels some of the worst things imaginable. And on a bigger scale, it just shatters the trust we all have in the financial institutions we depend on every single day.
Which, of course, brings us to the mission. How do professionals even begin to fight back against a problem this big? Well, they arm themselves by aiming for the absolute gold standard in the industry, the CAMS certification.
So what is CAMS exactly? It's a credential from the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, or ACAMS for short. But let me be clear, this is so much more than just a certificate to hang on your wall. It's a signal to the entire global finance community that you have the skills, the proven skills, to take on financial crime at the highest level.
And you might be wondering, who is this for? Well, it's a way more diverse group than you might think. We're talking about compliance officers inside banks, sure, but also risk managers, government regulators, even folks in law enforcement and intelligence. If you're serious about this field, CAMS is the key that unlocks doors.
All right, rule number one in any fight: know your enemy. Before you can be effective, you have to understand exactly what you're up against. You need to know their playbook inside and out.
At its core, it all boils down to this one simple but really powerful idea. The entire goal is to break the connection between the crime and the cash it generated. That way, criminals can spend their profits freely without ever getting caught.
So let's walk through their classic three-step playbook. First up is placement. They got to get that dirty cash into the system somehow. Next is layering. This is where they create a confusing, complicated web of transactions to hide where the money came from. And finally, integration. The clean money comes back into the economy looking totally legitimate. Okay, so we know the three stages, but how do they actually pull it off? Well, as you can imagine, they've got a whole bag of tricks. Some of them are incredibly clever.
I love this comparison because it really shows you how their methods have evolved. On one hand, you have an old-school classic like structuring. They literally call it smurfing, where criminals have people make lots of small cash deposits to stay under that reporting radar. Then, on the other hand, you've got its high-tech cousin, crypto laundering, using all sorts of technology to hide the digital breadcrumbs. Same goal, totally different battlefield.
But you know, one of the most powerful tools in their playbook isn't high-tech at all. It's something deceptively simple and totally legal on the surface: a company.
Think of a shell company like this. It's a company that's, well, not really a company. It exists only on paper. It has no office, no employees, no real business. Its one and only purpose is to act as a screen to hide who really owns the money. It creates this legal wall that's incredibly tough for investigators to break through.
Now, this next one is kind of brilliant in a really scary way. Criminals look at the millions of shipping containers crossing the globe every day and see one giant smokescreen. By faking invoices or even creating paperwork for phantom shipments of goods that don't even exist, they can move millions of dollars that just look like everyday business. Yeah, it's a fair question. At this point, you're probably thinking, wow, this feels impossible. The bad guys are smart, they have tons of money, and they're always one step ahead. So, how do we actually fight back? Well, it starts with having the right tools for the job.
And this is where you come in. This isn't a hopeless fight. It's time to gear up and get familiar with the essential weapons you'll be using every day to defend the entire financial system. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with these two ideas. Know your customer, or KYC, is your absolute first line of defense. You have to know who you're dealing with. Simple as that. But not everyone's the same. For higher-risk clients, like a politician, for example, you have to go deeper. That's enhanced due diligence, or EDD. It's a whole other level of scrutiny. So what does enhanced actually look like in practice? Well, it means you're digging way deeper. You're figuring out who really owns a company, you're verifying where their money actually came from, you're scanning the news for red flags, and you're getting the big bosses to sign off on it. It's a full court press.
Okay, so you've done all your homework, you've checked all the boxes, but something in your gut is still screaming that this isn't right. The alarm bells are ringing.
You need to act, and that is when you pull out your ultimate weapon.
The Suspicious Activity Report, or SAR, this is the hotline. It's the direct bridge between you and law enforcement. And here's the most important part. You don't need absolute proof. You just need reasonable grounds to suspect something's wrong. This is how you tip off the authorities and give them the intel they need to take over.
All right, you get the mission. You know the enemy's playbook, and now you've got your toolkit. There's just one final hurdle to clear, passing the exam to prove you've mastered all of this.
So, let's take a quick look at the test itself. You're facing 120 multiple-choice questions, and you have 3.5 hours to get through them. And that passing score, 420 out of 800, that tells you right away this is a serious challenge. They don't just hand this certification out.
Now, this is key for anyone who's studying. You need to know where to focus your time. The biggest piece of the pie, at 30%, is understanding the risks and methods. But look how evenly the rest is split. You can't just focus on one area. You absolutely need a balanced study plan to pass this thing.
Look, we've really only scratched the surface today. To get the in-depth knowledge and the practice you'll need to actually pass the exam, you need the full guide. Just go to Amazon and search for CAMS Exam Prep by Austin Alvarez. And hey, if you're like me and you do a lot of listening, it's coming soon to Audible, narrated by Tom Brooks.
You know, earning your CAMS certification is so much bigger than just a career move. It's a commitment. It's a statement that you are ready to stand on the front lines and defend the integrity of the system. So the only real question left is, are you ready to become a guardian?